Welcome, friends. I'm your host, Maya Rose, and I'm so excited to be introducing Tombstone Talks to you guys. Grab your cocoa, pull your blanket tight, and settle in, because tonight we're peeling back the glittering veneer of Christmas to reveal something far older, far frostier, and far more fun. Tonight is the journey into forgotten tradition of Christmas ghost stories. This is where we're going to explore Victorian parlors, where the shadows lengthen, and in the holiday spirit, you might just see a literal spirit. Before Mariah Carey defrosted each November, before department stores staged their glittering LED blizzards, winter was a different creature entirely. Centuries ago, people looked at December and thought, well, this is it. This is where the dead come knocking. Winter was long. It was cold. The nights were deep and seemed to swallow the world whole. And so families gathered around their hearths, not simply for warmth, but to remind themselves that they were alive. And what better way to do so than by telling stories designed to make your pulse jump? It wasn't morbid, it was fun, it was tradition. The Victorians took that ancient habit and ran with it, like a kid with a sparkler. To them, Christmas Eve was a prime ghost story night. You expected chills, you welcomed them. Now, when we say Victorian Christmas ghost stories, most of us think immediately of Charles Dickens, and for good reason. Dickens practically resurrected the tradition with A Christmas Carol, a tale brimming with rattling chains, time-split visions, and spirits intent on moral reckoning. But what many forget is that Dickens wrote dozens of Christmas ghost stories. Some of them were his own, others were tales he coaxed or edited from fellow writers. One of his darkest and arguably most masterful is The Signalman. Imagine a railway cutting through rock, a narrow gorge, a steep wall, slick with damp moss, and the ever-present tremor of trains passing overhead. In that shadowed world was the signalman, a solitary figure who confides in the narrator that he is haunted, not by flesh and blood, but by a spectral apparition appearing in the tunnel mouth. Each time the spirit raises its arm in warning, calamity follows, a derailment, a tragedy, a death. And yet, the warnings, cryptic and dreadful, never reveal enough to prevent the disasters. Dickens weaves unease with industrial dread, crafting a story where progress itself seems haunted. It is a ghost story not of creaking floorboards or Gothic mansions, but of iron, steam, and inevitability. And then there's Henry James. The Turn of the Screw, a story so perfectly balanced between the supernatural and psychological terror that scholars still argue whether the ghosts are real, opens not with a scream, but with a Christmas gathering. Picture this: a group of friends huddled around a fire at an old country house. The hour is late, the season deep. Someone announces that they have a ghost story to share, one involving a governess, two children, and a horror that unfolded in the isolation of a remote estate. The manuscript passed around like a forbidden relic. James understood something vital. The firelit intimacy of Christmas Eve was the ideal stage for terror, because fear, like warmth, is something to be shared. To the Victorians, darkness was not merely atmospheric, it was literal. Winter nights stretched long, and without modern light, the boundary between the seen and unseen grew thin. But there is another reason the holiday and hauntings made such a fitting companion. Christmas, at its heart, has always been a festival about the passage of time, about endings and beginnings, life and death, remembrance and rebirth. When families gathered on Christmas Eve, they weren't just celebrating, they were remembering. Lost loved ones, old grudges, ancient superstitions, ghost stories became a way to honor and confront those memories. In telling these stories, the Victorians simply weren't trying to frighten each other. They were performing a ritual older than Christianity. A ritual acknowledged that the world is large and strange, and winter has always been a season of reckoning. By the early 20th century, the tradition began to fade. Electric lights softened winter's menace, radio and cinema offered new thrills, and Christmas shifted towards a bright, commercial holiday we recognize today. But this tradition never disappeared entirely. Even now, if you listen closely, somewhere between the rustle of wrapping paper and the soft settling of snow, you may catch the echo of those long-ago tales, a whisper from a shadowed corner in the room, a reminder that the Victorians weren't wrong. And perhaps as we gather under twinkling lights and evergreen boughs, it is time to bring the ghost story back. So tonight, as you sit by your own warm hearth, or maybe the glow of the screen, consider lighting a single candle, dimming the rest, and inviting a good ghost story into the room. Perhaps revisit the Signal Man and its spectral warnings, or wander the echoing halls of Bly with the governess, of the Turn of the Screw, or better yet, craft one of your own. Because when the world is quiet and the night is long, we remember that stories are a kind of magic, and ghost stories especially remind us of life's fragile edge. Thank you for wandering into the shadows with me. I'm so glad you guys have joined me with Tombstone Talks today. Happy holidays, and until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.